Welcome to the Whitetail Obsession Podcast with Dave Richmond and co-host Chris Worthing, where we talk and teach everything deer and turkey hunting related. Follow along as we help teach you tips and techniques about hunting, food plots, and habitat management strategies that everyone can use.
Podcast 114. If anybody has been paying attention to these podcasts, there's always an issue with Chris. He can't sleep, he's got sore back, can't sleep, sore back, ribs hurt, arms hurt, knee hurts, foot hurts, legs hurts, or he's got a sickness for 3 months long that he can't get rid of after 14 different antibiotics. And guess what? He is sick again. Chris, what's happening with you?
I gotta retire.
You got to retire.
Yeah, I gotta retire because people make me sick.
People make you sick.
Yeah, you make me sick.
Here we go. It's one of them days.
Especially when you throw an anchor out and drowned us in a canoe.
That was pretty funny.
That makes me sick.
That was pretty funny. You know what the funniest part about that is? You paddling backwards and you gassed out. And for some reason, the past couple of years, I've been getting a kick out of people gassing out when they get tired. I just find it.
You see the end coming.
I find it hilarious that when people gas out, they get tired.
You see the end coming.
In tricky situations.
Your heart doctor said you're dying.
No, but my heart doctor said I have to get a calcium score. So I'm going to go get a calcium score.
Oh boy.
But Chris is sick again.
Always.
You got a head cold, right?
Something going on in my sinuses.
I know what it is. You have the bird flu.
Could be. I'm getting ready for turkey hunting.
You got pink eye?
I got stink eye.
You got pink eye?
Stink eye.
Stink eye?
Yeah.
This guy.
Chocolate spider.
Yeah. Sure. This guy.
All
right.
Side eye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's today's topic before we lose everybody in the world? They just clicked off because you're never serious.
People got to keep up with Chris's saga, with him and, Swiss Miss hot chocolate and
that's what I'm lacking right now.
All this other stuff. It's always something going on with you. But
be chugging hot chocolate.
We'll try to keep this a short one since Chris is sick and old and he needs a nap. But we're in that time of year where we're going to take just a quick deep dive into frost seeding because it's right there. Like we're in our location where we live, PA, Maryland, throughout the kind of north, or Midwest and things. It's time to frost seed. I mean, today we're getting temperatures in the 60s now, 50s. Like we're getting that warm spell, and obviously it's still going to get cold. You still got to get through March and all that, but we're getting over. I'd say from now over the next 4 weeks is a good time to start frost seeding. Don't you do you agree?
I would agree.
Finally, he agrees with something.
I would agree.
This guy.
Trying to pull up like something on the phone here and see.
Well, you look for that, and I'm going to continue yapping.
Night times way below freezing.
Yeah.
Daytimes way above freezing. So
yes,
good timing.
Yeah, right now, if you want to do it, it's good. But a few key things with frost seeding because there's so many mistakes that people do, and I see it on social media, and I just saw somebody post something on social media if they can frost seed no BS.
Yeah, I saw that. I was gonna reply, and I thought, I'm not gonna get into this drama fest.
It's so many. I see guys doing this weird. They're just people are still confused but it gets worse and worse and worse every single year. So
because it's such a trend.
It is
trendy.
It is very trendy, and it's getting more and more and more, and you're getting, which is good. People want to plant. I'm all for it, but they're doing things without any type of research, or they're not trying to, bring knowledge to theirself So they jump right to some forum in a Facebook group, which can be good, but there's also new guys in there, which is giving bad advice. And it just is a domino effect, and it gets bad. And
It's a
so
clown
many,
show.
it is. And food plots are literally the easiest thing to do.
It can be.
It's literally the easiest thing to do. But you have to use common sense. So just a couple things where people get squirrely with is it's not the best idea to go to an area that's never been prepped for grasses, even though they're dormant. It's not a good idea to frost seed it. By the time that clover germinates, it gets warm, the soil temperature get warm enough to germinate. Your grass in there is already going to be green and germinated. It's going to shade out the clover. It's not going to grow. You're going to have very poor success with that. And you can do it. Yes, people overseed pastures and things all the time, but you have to like double, triple, quadruple the amount of clover that you use to get a quarter of it to germinate because there's so much grass in there. So literally the best way to do it is to frost seed into an existing fall food plot. So you planted your food plot and just say in September, you go through the winter time, it's dormant, you frost seed into that. That's a good idea. It could be an old brassica plot, it could be an old soybean plot. You want to get it established, but if there's no clover there now and you're trying to establish clover, you need to use the full rate of clover, if not 1.5 times more than what it would call for. So if it calls for 8 pounds an acre, maybe use 10, 12 pounds an acre. So because not all of it's going to germinate. So
You know how
frost
many?
seeding.
I'm sorry, but do you know how many of those questions I had this week just alone?
What's that?
Like people texting me, "Hey, how much clover per
Mm,
acre should I
mhm.
spread?" And you know, should how much is a full load per acre, and how much should I add to it? And I'm like, my gosh, well, you got to give it extra, but yet too, I don't know what you're dealing with. I can't see your plot through the freaking messenger.
Right, right, right.
I don't know if they're dealing with grass or weed, or if it's a existing plot, or if there's soil exposed.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I got a lot of those questions this week.
me too.
Uh, the other big question this week was, when can I start spraying?
Oh my.
And people want to know when they're spray already. I'm like, oh my lord! I, and I've been on these forums. I don't like to comment on them because usually, like I said, it's a clown show. But like you said, there's so much bad information out there. So I'm on there commenting, you know, don't spray if it's not gonna be above 50 at night.
We're still
So
in winter. It's winter
yeah,
time.
yeah. This spray does not. It's not optimum use until it's above 50 overnight,
Mhm.
steady.
Yeah.
Just not for a night, you know.
Right. Yeah, you're not going to get a good. It's the middle of winter time. The stuff's
No,
dormant.
and it's expensive. The herbicide's expensive. So,
Right.
but yeah, it for sure. You want to eliminate that grass and things that you're going to fight against. But like Dave just said, it needs to be an afterthought. Frost seeding needs to be an afterthought. And what I mean by that is what he mentioned. It should be, you put in your fall plot, and then after the season's over, you're thinking towards the next year's plot. Oh, I can frost seed into that plot because there's nothing left in it and it's bare dirt now.
Hmm.
So that's the time to put in. Or if it's already clover, you can add to it. Um, yeah, I don't tell people to start a spring or summer plot from nothing.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's
The
very hard. Hard,
more
hard to
prep
get established.
more prep you put into it, the better your result. Better results you're going to get. I just saw something earlier too. Um, with somebody commented like, "What's the best food plot seed?" Blah blah blah. And one guy commented, he said domain. He said, I have great success with it. They answer all my questions, or
Right.
they have good customer service.
Yes.
Guy commented on it and said, screw domain, their seed sucks. I planted it twice, no success. But yet he commented and said his pH was 4.5.
Oh my.
He sprayed liquid lime, and he had no germination, and he's blaming the seed that he would never buy another seed from domain.
Nice. Well, they probably don't want his business because he's bad advertising.
Right. It's not the seed.
No.
It's your preparation, whether you covered it too deep. Clover, you can't cover, it's not going to germinate.
What
Whether,
really, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again, but what really burns my butt is people don't realize that all these seed companies, there's like a couple of seed mills throughout the United States that all these companies get their seed from.
mhm.
There's a couple of them. So, whatever company you're using, the seed's probably coming from that place somewhere out west,
Yeah,
you
you have
know.
different growers throughout the places, but it's not
So the people are blaming it on the seed all
right.
the time, you
It's
know,
not. It's not
and
the
it's
seed.
not. It's Whitetail Institute's probably getting the same stuff that Domain's buying.
Mhm.
I mean, just saying. Then
Yeah,
you have the
it's
controversy of people saying, "Well, what do you need seed coating for? I want hard seed." Come on, folks,
right.
do your
Yeah,
research.
it's terrible. A lot of terrible information out there, but it's not the seed. It's your preparation. I had this one guy. It was like, I think it was last year, year before. He was telling me he kept planting clover, but yet he was disking or whatever. Then he'd spread the seed, and he'd use a roller, a flat roller,
Yeah,
and he would run over his plot back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and he created hard pan,
yeah,
like literally like concrete, and it never germinated. I said, dude, stop doing that. I don't like rollers. I will fight somebody if they use a roller. But um, you when you do that, you create a hard pan. It's like concrete on there. That's not good, and especially when it rains, all that just washes off. Especially if like clay-like soil, it just compacts it so bad. I hate rollers. Um, if you have a lot of organic matter in the soil and you're just lightly going over it, it's probably okay. But if you have a true cultipacker, then yes, that's better. I don't even do that. Most of the time, I'll just plant and then use a drag harrow, like chain link, what fence or whatever it is, just drag over it. It's the best thing, because when you do that, you leave these kind of like ripple effects in the soil and clumps, back and forth, so the seed can go in these crevices, and then when it rains, it slowly compacts itself, and the seed doesn't wash off because you have these mounds and stuff. When you go roll over it, it's like a literally like a sidewalk. It's like a concrete, and it just runs right off, and you bury the clover too deep. You can't do that. It's not that difficult. I could throw a seed out on the ground, and it's going to germinate, doing nothing to it. It gets some rain and moisture, it's going to germinate. So it's just a matter of the preparation, of having good soil, lime, and fertility levels, and um,
I
getting that
just
seed out there.
I just had this conversation at the beginning of the week. Someone else had me up on panel for a live,
Hmm.
and there was like three of us up on this panel, and one guy said about rolling and stuff, and I said, I quit rolling. I said I used to roll, and it worked out for me, but I realized that I wasn't even really doing myself any real favors. It worked, but I didn't like it. And he said, well, why? Why didn't you like? I said, well, because the only time I want to use the roller is in a situation where you've actually overworked the dirt and you made it into dust. Then you need the roller to pack it, firm it back up before you spread your seed. Because, like you were just saying, if you work the dirt, overwork it so bad that it turns to dust and you throw the seeds out there, the next time it rains, it's probably is going to run off.
Mm-hmm.
So I told the guy, I said, if you're going to do something, you pack it first, seed it, and then you can roll back over it if you want, as long as you don't bury it too deep. That's the only time I would recommend rolling. You know, I just, or I've used it in an instance where I used bigger seeds, and the bigger seeds were able to be buried within up to an inch and a half. Well, then I would say if you want to roll that, okay, because if you bury it an inch and a half, it's still going to germinate. Something like corn or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I broadcast the corn that one year. I I used the cultivators and tore it up, and it left like nice furrow lines in the ground. And when I broadcasted the corn, it fell down in them furrows, and then I didn't have that chain link at the time. So I just went and got a roller and I rolled over that, and that just packed the dirt back around the seed for me.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the only two instances I could see you need a roller.
Right.
I like the chain link harrow though.
Yeah, I like that too. And yeah, I got a video on my YouTube channel where I planted brassicas. I
Mhm.
literally dissed it, drug it with a chain link fence, broadcasted my brassicas right on top of it. I
Right.
didn't ever touched it after that.
Just walk away.
To walk away, and it was a beautiful. I think
Yeah.
it was Showstopper that I planted at the current farm that I have.
Yep.
But yeah, it's right on my YouTube video. No roller, no
Nothing.
nothing. Just let it do its thing, and it was a beautiful,
I
beautiful plot.
just
Not,
scratch it up, spread it, and let it rain.
yep. Um, few other things with clover. Obviously, you want to frost seed when you're getting those freezing thaw temperatures. So, if
Yeah.
you look at your calendar, or not your calendar, your weather forecast, you'll see those freezing temperatures at night rising during the day. It can freeze and thaw. You put that seed on there, and it'll draw that seed down in there,
Yeah.
and then when spring actually hits, it'll start germinating. Um, so
Well, the other thing is, I had some questions. People saying, "What if I miss? What if I miss that freeze thaw?"
so what?
I'm like, "So what? So just go out and spread it right before rain."
Hmm.
It's just like we were just saying. Just put it out there. Let it work itself into the dirt.
Yep.
You don't have to frost seed. Like deep south doesn't get frost normally. Like this year they did, but you know, you can't talk frost seeding to someone that lives in Florida. It's non-existent normally.
Right.
You
Like
know,
South Florida.
yeah. I mean, you're not talking frost seeding to them. They're like frost seeding. What the heck's that?
Hmm.
Yeah. You're not telling them anything. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've got to go out and pitch it on the dirt and wait for it to rain anyhow.
Hmm. And they got much longer growing seasons down there. So
Sure.
up here we have a short window. Um,
Yeah,
but
but everybody's trying to time it just right. And
yeah.
I've already seen people that already frost seed like 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. If you miss it, you miss it. It's not the end of the world. Just
and then
plan
we
it.
got all that ice storm.
Yeah.
It got all covered over in ice. And
Yep.
who's to say that now we've been getting these rains in this stall? Who's to say it's not going to wash and be real
Hmm.
blotchy and nasty?
Yep. Well, they'll just blame it on the seed.
Yeah, right, right. It's that seed distributor,
Yep.
whichever. Insert your name here.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, a few things too with it. It's once it gets established, if you plant it in the spring, you're going to have some weeds. Typically,
Yeah.
you can mow it, which is fine. Other times, if it gets really bad, you have to apply some herbicide to it. But clethodim works. Control your grasses, or you could use 2,4-DB, which will handle the broadleaves. But my favorite, and I think Chris's favorite too, is IMOX.
Yeah.
It controls both grasses and weeds. I get a lot of questions about that now, kind of like since we started talking about it a few years back. But
Right.
I get so many people ask about it. But It's 7 to 9 ounces of IMOX per acre. I don't care how much water you use, as long as you have enough water to cover that acre. It could be, depending on your sprayer, it could be 10 gallons of water, it could be 20 gallons of water. You just need to apply 7 to 9 ounces per acre. Spray it on there. It is slow moving,
Oh, it's a slow burn.
slow burn. It might
Yeah.
take 15 days, 20 days, but it'll
Yep.
eventually start wilting, and then you can just give it a mow, and then you're usually pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So keep that in mind. You can then maybe in the later summer you get some rain and stuff, and it's not too stressed. Give it another mow, and then you're usually pretty good for the rest of the season. You're mowing it; it's becoming palatable. If you have a lot of deer, they're kind of mowing it for you, so they're just going to automatically keep it, fresh growth to it. Um, and then obviously, if you want to mow, you want to wait till the white flowers and things get on the clover, because then that's how it reproduces. So you can mow it and then spread your seed that way, because they're going to produce seed heads, and you can self uh, populate extra clover seed that way. So it's not difficult. It's literally a plant. It's a piece of clover. Like, it lands on the dirt and it grows. Give it what it needs. Mother Nature gives it rain, sunlight, and we need to give it some fertility and correct the soil and things. And um, you can have a clover food plot. Like, it's not
Yeah. That's one of the
definitely not.
easiest things.
Yeah, it's definitely not rocket science. What else do you have to add?
No, I just one thing I wanted to add or ask you: have you ever heard what the actual residual time is on IMOX? Because
No, but
I could not find it on their website or anything.
no, but it's funny you asked. Somebody commented on my video the other day, my clover frost eating video or something. And you know what? I forgot to reply to him, but he said something about, actually it was on the podcast. He said something about you. He said, he said, let me
Because I
find it.
would recommend, since we don't know that for sure, I always give it like a month just to be safe before you reapply, replant or whatever. But I mean, you should only really be using IMOX on your established clover. Like, some people think since it's good for grasses and broadleaf, like they want to spray and burn something down before they plant their fall plot there. And it's not a real good idea unless you give it some time just in case there is some residual. Because some of these herbicides do have a long residual. Now they claim that, like glyphosate, you can spray that and seed the same day and blah blah blah. Whereas we don't know for sure. I've been trying to find that out, and I don't know how to get a hold of these folks to ask that.
Uh, I can't find it, but he said something, because we were talking about, it was the herbicide podcast we did last week, I believe.
Mhm.
He said, he's like, something, Chris is right. Mox does have a residual. I think
Right.
he said it's like 28 days or something, 30
Yeah,
days.
I give it a month because
So
and that's only because trial and error. I'm an experimental guy. I always am trying stuff. I did I did spray it on an area uh just to see. I mean, just experimentally, I wanted to use it and try to replant in that area and see what happens.
mhm,
And some of the seeds did not germinate. It wasn't a total failure, but there were certain things in that mix that would not germinate because I only gave it like 2 weeks or something like that. So that's why I say, and that's why this is a good educational thing. People can subscribe and watch this stuff, and you can let me make the mistake for you and tell you, hey, you know what I'm saying? This is a way to find out about it so that you don't waste your money.
that's
So,
your way of saying you're blaming the seed.
no, that's my way of saying I blame the company of
IMOX.
iBlocks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the company of IMOX.
Yeah.
There's no instruction, there's no directions that say anything about residual, which
No.
cause you to plant too early, which cause your food plot not to seed. So you should send them a bill for your seed to
Yeah.
reimburse you.
Yeah. So, if anybody wants to know about that residual factor, I'm going to recommend 30 days.
Yeah.
That way, it should be gone by then. I was just reading up on one that I thought I was going to buy, and now I don't think I'm going to, because I pulled up the PDF file of the label, and it's like 12 pages long or something, and it said the residuals like freaking 4 months.
What?
4 months before you can replant.
Crazy.
So there again, like I said, some of the herbicides that you look at, you need to find out about the residual, because you only want to use something like that on an established plot that you're not going to do anything except kill the weeds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It has to be a good enough plot to sustain itself already, and you just want to kill the weeds in it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to like spray that in the summer and expect to plant into it, you know. Yeah, 4 months residual time. I was like, oh man, who has 4 months to wait?
Yeah, right.
You can only, like I say, you can only use it somewhere that's established.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like, something like you might want to spray that early spring, going into summer, and then they would probably harvest a crop in the fall,
Yep.
and then maybe plant something to winter over, put their cover crops in or something
Mm-hmm.
after that. But yeah, 4 months, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, that stuff must be nasty.
At first, I thought you said 4 feet, which is about as tall as you. I was hearing things, I guess.
You're a funny guy.
I got jokes today.
He does. You're a fun guy. Fungi.
Fun. Fun guy.
You're fungi.
Yeah.
You and Zelensky. Fungi.
ZNO Canal. CNO Canal.
Whatever. When you coming to fish,
May.
bring me a bike.
I am going to bring you a bike. We got to pick a weekend.
Bring me a GoPro.
I am going to bring you a GoPro. And 2 bottles of Dirty Deeds and some domain seed and everything, because I don't use domain no more anymore because they're junk. Junk seed. Junk seed all over the internet.
Junk seed. He blaming his plots on junk seed.
Yep. Well, that's podcast 114. Hey, guy, if anybody has any questions about frost seed, reach out.
Yeah,
We'll help you out. Comment,
sure.
things like that. We'll point you in the right direction. And
I like when people ask questions. I like getting messages and
yeah,
stuff, and
yeah,
answering them.
we can get you
You know,
going.
I just got something today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, get somebody going in the right direction
Yeah, yeah. I hate
instead of going backwards like you paddling backwards.
that's silly. You ever drop an anchor, I'm gonna tie it around your neck. Let it
So
drag you out of the boat.
you gassed out. So funny.
Yeah, I did. It's probably why I got a torn rotator cuff. It's your fault.
Probably it's all my fault.
I'm gonna sue you.
Try it. I got insurance.
Sue you for a new anchor.
I got insurance and lawyers.
You ain't got no lawyers.
I got a lawyer. All right.
That's it. Cut it off.
Podcast 114. We out.
114's done. I gotta go sue Dave.
All right.
See ya.